Yang last week ke yang baru?
Yang last week.
Ada yang baru tak?
Tak tahu lah. Aduh. Ini.
Yang berbahagia Dr. Fadhlullah Suhaimi Abdul Malek, Chairman of the Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission MCMC. Yang berbahagia Mr. Imri Mokhtar, Managing Director and Group Chief Executive Officer for Telecom Malaysia Berhad, TM. Yang berbahagia Prof. Insinyur Dr. Hafizal Mohamad, Faculty of Engineering and Built Environment, Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia, USIM. Yang berbahagia Prof. Dr. Borhanuddin Muhammad Ali, Universiti Putra Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Associate Professor Insinyur Dr. Muhammad Huzaimi bin Jusuf, Chairman of IEEE Malaysia Communication Society and Vehicular Technology Society Joint Chapter MyComVT 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful morning for our online forum on the topic Accelerating Digital Transformation in Challenging Times, organized by the IEEE Malaysia ComSoc and VTS Joint Chapter MyComVT and supported by the MCMC. For the e-certificate attendance registration, we'll be sharing the link in the comment in both our Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Before proceeding with our program this morning, we will be sharing, it will be better for us to introduce who we are first. Yeah. IEEE stands for Institute for Electrical and Electronics Engineering, and it is the biggest technical professional society in the world. IEEE is a non-profit and non-governmental society. Members of IEEE include researchers, academicians, and industry players that share the same deep interest in electrical and electronics engineering field. Although IEEE is based in the United States, it has branches in almost all countries around the world. Under IEEE, there are several technical societies. In fact, there are about 39 technical societies focusing on specific areas such as signal processing, power electronics, computer, etc. Communication Society and Vehicular Technology Society are two of these technical societies under IEEE. In Malaysia, the IEEE Communication Society and Vehicular Technology Society formed a joint chapter back in 2006 and has been one of the most active and one of the biggest technical societies under IEEE in Malaysia. IEEE ComSoc VTS has won several awards not only at the national level, including the IEEE Outstanding Large Chapter Award for 2 years in a row, 2019 and 2020. And we have also won at the global stage, where we have won the IEEE ComSoc Chapter of the Year in 2013 and 2016, and the Best Vehicular Technology Society Chapter in 2012 and 2017. IEEE ComSoc VTS has been organizing activities including technical talks, forums, conferences, and even community services. Back in 2016, we managed to organize the biggest IEEE telecommunication conference in the International Conference in Communication, ICC, which has attracted more than 2,000 participants from around the world. And this program was supported by MCMC as well. In 2019, we have organized the IEEE Vehicular Technology Conference, VTC, which was the biggest conference under the Vehicular Technology Society. This year, we'll be organizing 2 conferences, namely the 26th Asia Pacific Conference in Communication from 10th to 13 October, and then Malaysian International Conference in Communication, MICC, in December. We are also proud to pronounce that we have won the bid to organize another big telecommunication conference, which is the Global Communication or GlobeCom, and this is scheduled in 2023. For more information on IEEE Malaysia ComSoc VTS Joint Chapter, please visit our official Facebook page at mycomvt.info. To continue with our program today, I would like to invite the current chairman of IEEE Malaysia ComVTS, Yang Berbahagia Associate Professor Insinyur Dr. Muhammad Suhaimi bin Jusoh, to give his welcoming remark. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Prof. Dr. Muhammad Yusof, the MC, our Master of Ceremony for our forum today. First of all, I would like to say thank you and appreciation to the working group, working committee under the technical portfolio of our chapter for organizing this forum. So I'm also would like to appreciate and thanks to all of our panels today. I think we have quite well experienced and then panel to share their knowledge and expertise on the topic that we are having today. We have Dr. Fadhlullah Suhaimi Abdul Malek, the chairman of MCMC. And then we also have Mr. Imri Mokhtar, the managing director and group CEO of TM. And then we also have Prof. Engineer Dr. Hafizal Mohamad from USIM, Universiti Sains in Islam Malaysia. And then we call it our mentor in our chapter, Prof. Dr. Borhanuddin Ali from UPM. So thank you everyone, thank you the panels, thank you to the moderator for giving it a chance and then time to join our forum today. So as an introduction, the IEEE Malaysia Communication Society and Vehicular Technology Society, currently we have more than 200 active members in Malaysia. So for the program, we support the program, not only technical program like what we are having today, but also the program like educational, which is involved with school children, university students and researchers, and also for membership development program. And then we also involved with the social program with the community. So this is covering all level of societies, industries, academia, school, as well as the community. So, and then our chapter is looking forward to have this kind of activity more activities in this kind of activity in the future. And then we also would like to see the opportunity to expand the collaboration with everyone, not only among the academia, but also with the collaborators from industry, and then school plus the society. So I would like to wish the forum today will meet the objective and then successful. With that, thank you, the organizing committee again for having me for to give a welcoming speech, and then wish you all the best for the rest of the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Associate Professor Insinyur Dr. Muhammad Suhaimi bin Yusuf. Just as a reminder to all participants again, that we will be sharing the e-certificate attendance registration link in the comment in both our Facebook Live and also our YouTube Live. Perhaps some of you may be wondering why we choose the topic accelerating the digital transformation in challenging times. So this particular topic is chosen for our forum today because it was actually the theme that was selected by the International Telecommunication Union, ITU, as the theme for this year's World Telecommunication and Information Society Day, which was celebrated on 17th of May 2021. Before I pass over to our moderator, let me briefly read out the biodata of our moderator today, Prof. Dr. Borhanuddin Muhammad Ali. So Prof. Dr. Borhanuddin Muhammad Ali received his degree in 1979 from Loughborough University of Technology and Masters and PhD from University of Wales in 1982 and 1985 respectively. He was a lecturer at UPM since 1985 and have sort of retired a few times until the final retirement recently. And he is currently serving UPM as a voluntary staff in the Amal Putra scheme. In between, he has been working with Celcom R&D 1995, Mike Telecom Interest Group 1996, MIMOS from 2006-2008, before spending some sabbatical time in Europe and also in Canada. Prof. Dr. Borhanuddin is no stranger to IEEE, so he is a senior member of IEEE, and he has served the ComSoc VTS chapter chair twice in 1998 for 3 terms and later on in 2005. And then he has also served as the vice chair of IEEE Malaysia section in 2001 and chair from 2002 until 2003. And currently he is helping out the IEEE Malaysia section as well as ComSoc VTS, the advisory panel. And he is not only serving locally, he has also served internationally, where he has served the Communication Society Asia Pacific Board at various positions since 2001, and the coordinator for conference activities 2013, acting as vice chair technical activities 2014, vice chair professional IEEE Region 10 Asia Pacific in 2017 and 18. And he has been the chair of various conferences, including the one that I mentioned earlier, the ICC 2016, VTC Spring 2019, and currently he is chairing our APCC 2021, and also the one that I mentioned about our forthcoming in 2 years' time, the GlobeCom 2023, which will be held in Kuala Lumpur. He has published over 300 papers in refereed journals and conferences in the area of spanning from wireless sensor network, IoT, wireless resource management, mobility management, cognitive radio, and also 5G, with a Scopus Edge Index of about 20. So before I proceed, if you do have any questions later on for the speakers, for the panels, feel free to write in our live chat, in the comments, in our Facebook Live, as well as in our YouTube Live. Now, I will now pass over to Prof. Borhanuddin to moderate the forum today. Over to you, Prof. Borhan.
Thank you, Prof. Yusuf. Can you hear me well? Because you never know. Okay, I wish he could have cut it short, because we have exciting time with 3 panel speakers. which we have managed to bring together, I think, as far as I can remember, for the first time ever, strong men in the world of ICT and telecommunication in Malaysia. Never before. So I guess this is a watershed. I think we look forward for a better, collaboration between the various sectors of the telecommunication industry in Malaysia and the academia and the learned society like we are. So without further ado, I just because much has been said or introduced about the speakers before, so that makes my job a little bit easier, and all the the background of the event. So I just want to maximize the time that we have to give justice to the speakers that we have brought together. So we have the three speakers. Yang berbahagia Dr. Fadhlullah Suhaimi, as you can see here, there he is on the screen. I will read out his CV a little later. And then we'll be followed by the industry, Group CEO of TM, Imri, Mokhtar, a young man there. It makes me feel like I'm a dinosaur already now, as you can see. And the third speaker is somebody I have known for some time, Professor Engineer Dr. Hafizal, Mohamad. I'll tell a bit more about that later. So now I would like to welcome the first speaker and read a bit about himself, even though I have not really met him face to face. So I really look forward to be able to be sitting together with him sometime soon, at least after the MCO. Okay. Yang berbahagia Dr. Fadhlullah Suhaimi Abdul Malek, as you are aware now, is the chairman of the MCMC after having served as a commission member, as well as Chief Officer of Network Security, Network Media Monitoring, Compliance and Advocacy. And so as you can see that he's no stranger to MCMC. I thought I know a lot about MCMC. Now I think I don't know much about MCMC. There are a lot of things going there. So he has a decorated working experience holding prominent positions in organizations such as Ministry of Health, Telecom Malaysia, as well as Prime Minister's Pemandu, and also founding member of Communication Multimedia Content Forum and Malaysia Internet Exchange. Very interesting, mix of experience that we have. And if you know that he is actually a medical doctor by training. I'm not sure whether he practiced yet, but not the time right now. Very busy for medical doctors, frontliners. Feel pity for them, but they are our frontliners. Dr. Fadhlullah received his medical degree from National University of Malaysia, which is I think UKM, 1988, with a Masters of Medicine in Public Health. There you are, Public Health, from NUS Singapore 1992, and MA in Health Management Planning and Policy with distinction from University of Leeds 1996. So with that background, I think he has all the decorated experience across the spectrum of the multimedia information. So I would like to welcome Dr. Fadhlullah to present his thought about the accelerating digital transformation in challenging time. Please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof. Borhan, fellow panelists. Thank you again to the organizer for having me here to represent MCMC, to share a little bit about what we do and why we do certain things. First and foremost, I think none of us in our lifetime ever thought that Vision 2020 would actually end up being the year of COVID-19. Okay, and for the whole of year 2020, we were just challenged time and time again. Okay, we thought we were out of the woods. Unfortunately, come 2021, we just got dragged back into the woods. Okay, now, after more than 18 months battling it out, the country has seen many things happening. Okay, but I think let's anchor it on something that the government had thought much about. Okay, and probably this is a point where we can then take on a new phase in our lives and the lives of nations. On 18th of June, the Prime Minister of Malaysia announced the National Recovery Plan. Okay, and this plan was meant to help us move from phase 1 all the way to phase 4, building upon 3 core parameters that we must all achieve, namely vaccination, utilization of ICU beds, as well as new daily cases. Some states have been very lucky, and they've worked very hard to get there, and therefore some have gone to phase 2. Some of us, or actually many of us, more so for us in Selangor, we are still in phase 1, and we are even worse off because we've got to deal with a lot more tighter measures in terms of reducing the movement of people. Now, what does this mean? Over the last 18 months, what we saw was that people became a lot more familiar with digitalization. Probably they probably wouldn't call it digitalization, but in reality, they were doing lots of stuff using the digital through the digital means. People buy food via the app. People get food delivered to their homes. People work from home, doing a lot of video conferencing. People were doing conferences like this, also through video conferencing. Not great, but it kept the world, it kept the world moving. Okay, so basically, what has happened is that people have adopted, without them realizing it, the lifestyle of a digitalized world. So when you see that being the jump off point, okay, how do you then get out of this quagmire of pandemic to the next level? Building on what we already have as a huge behavioral change. It's digitalization. Effectively, people would need to do things differently. People need to adopt technology. And actually, this would be a means for the country to get back onto the recovery track a lot faster. Okay, I don't have to, belabor about the virtues of being in the digital world. Okay, but simply put, people realize they can do more things using the digital technology. Sometimes you don't like it. Okay, I for one don't quite fancy it because every time I have a meeting, I don't have a break. Okay, I'm out from one screen to another screen. Okay, but suddenly you end up being able to do more things within the same space of time. Okay, but we need to find that balance somewhere, somehow. I've gone to the ground and I've seen people also getting a lot more in terms of their economic upside by adopting digital technology. I'll share with you a lot more later. So basically, what you're looking at is that technology would be something that would have taken center stage in everybody's life. Okay, and therefore today that would be our single, if you want, jump off point for us to then optimize and then take it on to the next level, and hopefully that will expedite our economic recovery. Sorry. So where do we come in as MCMC? Okay. When we talk about a digital world, we certainly need to see from the perspective of the foundation. Okay, and this is where the likes of telecommunications and internet becomes pretty much synonymous with a digital world. Okay. People need information, so broadcasting is another means of getting information, and again keeping us abreast. And because people will then order stuff, okay, and so therefore e-commerce becomes a very big thing in this new norm. And for MCMC, we too have oversight over the postal and courier industry. Many people didn't realize that actually. Everybody thought we just took care of the telecommunications and internet only. Branding problem, but let me share with you, we cover the whole breadth of telecommunications, internet, broadcasting, and postal as well as courier. And we also realized that last year, we had a lot of challenges. Okay, when people started moving from offices to their homes, people were connecting onto the internet, and the next thing you know, we knew, everybody complained that the quality of internet wasn't great. Okay. We thought we were doing okay. Okay, we were pretty well ranked in the global at the global index, but the quality was not robust enough to take on the new load of utilization of that. And hence, when MCMC looked at it, we said, hey, wait a minute. I think we need to get together everyone, okay? And we formulated a lab, okay? Of course, for someone who came through the ranks of Pemandu, lab was something very natural for me to get into. So we got everybody together, all stakeholders, and for 1 month, after a lot of debates, ideation, and stuff like that, we came down onto a program called Jendela. Okay, and this is a program pretty much driven by the industry. So it's not an MCMC program; it's actually more of an industry program with MCMC strictly as the entity that will help facilitate that. Very simple. We needed to make sure that coverage was better, quality was also better, and therefore people will have a better quality of experience. But that does not stop there. A robust network with good coverage is the basis for us to move to a new technology called the 5G technology. Everybody talks about 5G technology. Today, you and I as consumers, I personally don't know of a application that really requires 5G. But for the industry, they certainly will need it, especially for the machine-to-machine communications. And therefore, the country needs that. Do we wait or do we do it faster? Therefore, Jendela helps to expedite. Second, once we have the infrastructure, the plan there, we needed to make sure that the plan hits the ground running. And in Malaysia, where you say it hits the ground running, you need to deal with the states, because at MCMC, we can formulate all the nice plans, all the nice policies, but if it gets obstructed at the state, we can't roll out. And therefore, the state itself needed to be engaged. And the only way we can do that is actually to do our own internal transformation at MCMC, whereby the state officers now will function as a microcosm of MCMC, so that they will become a partner to the state. And therefore, the state will then work in tandem with the aspiration at the national level. And at the end of the day, if the states actually take on the ideas, the plans, okay, and the policies mooted at the federal level, it can only mean an upside for them. More investment will come in, people will use more digital technology, therefore the whole economic activity online will also be increased. And when you do that, you need to make sure delivery is also there. And again, another round of labs at the end of last year, and and recently it was announced by the minister, where we have this thing called the Pelan Accelerator Courier Negara, or package in short. Simply trying to build a network to ensure that Malaysian consumers will actually will get first-class services for their delivery of their goods, be it to pick it up or even need to deliver to them. Okay, and one of the biggest things that will happen here would be the creation of a collection and delivery center infrastructure network, or PUDO for short. You have all this, you also realize that the biggest beneficiary that we need to help would be the micro entrepreneurs. Okay, they are the ones that will generate a lot of goods that can be brought onto the e-commerce platforms. We know of branded stuff, but we don't know of things that's available out there. And this is where we try to bring the digital, if you want, upside right down to the micro entrepreneurs. And recently, when the PM announced Pemulih, he also, within his speech, announced the establishment of Perkasa Pendigitalan Usahawan Kecil. This is a program not run fully by MCMC. We are just a lead coordinator. But what we do is that we pull together all government programs, be it by MCMC, by agencies like MDEC, MDEC, and many other agencies that avail themselves into the space of helping out the micro entrepreneurs, where we will then try to harmonize and help reach out to more micro entrepreneurs out there. Our target is 800,000. Total population of micro entrepreneurs out there, formal and informal, could hit anywhere between 1.6 to 2.2 million. Okay, so therefore it's just a fraction, but hopefully there will be a spillover effect. So those are the four key areas where MCMC had availed itself to help try and build an ecosystem that will allow faster digitalization for Malaysia. Let me take you back to Jendela. Okay. Jendela is an infrastructure. So when the Prime Minister announced My Digital, he announced that there would be the infrastructure level, which will take into account the Jendela, which will cover the 4G and fiberization. 2, he mentioned about 5G. 3, he talked about the international connectivity. And 4th would be the hyperscale data centers. Later, Imri will probably allude to you a little bit of what they do in that space. Okay, but before he can even talk about that, he needs to make sure that we actually have a solid digital infrastructure. We have been investing, but we needed to invest a lot more so that the country would have a wide coverage of fiber. Okay, fiber to the homes, fiber to the towers, fiber to the buildings, and all that. And this is important because if you want to future-proof the country, fiberization is the way to go. Second, yes, we have mobile connectivity today, and we are enjoying a 4G level of technology in that space. But are we doing enough there? Okay, some countries are running 4G and enjoying as high as 100 megabits per second speeds for the internet. For us, we have been working very hard together with the industry. We've managed to move the needle from 24 megabit per second to, I think, close to 27 megabit per second now. Okay, and sometimes we do touch the 29 megabit per second. But there's a far cry from the 100 megabit per second availability in some of the more established countries. Okay. Why? There are far too many reasons, okay, which I will not go into that. But certainly for the country like ours, we need to complement both at the fixed mobile convergence type of philosophy, where you will have fiber connectivity as well, complemented with mobile connectivity. Okay, one cannot substitute the other. We need both. Okay, and we need to make sure that the 4G coverage is 100% in the populated areas. Once we are okay locally, we need to make sure that we're also okay at the international connectivity. Therefore, work needs to be done on the submarine cable network deployment. Work needs to be done at the internet exchanges to make sure that Malaysia becomes a hub for data. Data is a new oil. Okay? And therefore, the only way you can do that is that we must be hyper-connected. Once you have both, then you are now ready to then roll out the 5G. So work had been done, and today, I think last week, I think, the special purpose vehicle, 100% owned by Ministry of Finance, called Digital National Berhad, had announced that they have inked an agreement with Ericsson, okay, as their partner to roll out the 5G network. Everybody keeps asking, hey, is government spending money on it? No, the government is not spending money on it. The government is tapping the private sector to fund it. Yes, there will be, return of the investment, and they also overlaid that with the securitization of the future earnings of the network. Okay, so that will actually allow a whole new model being put into place to support the development of the network, and we will enjoy a commercial availability of the network by end of this year. Although targeted, but it's a start, because the earlier plan was in 2023. So we expedited that by a whole year, simply on the back of a strong play by the industry in rolling out the first phase of Jendela. So this is a whole value chain there, and we expect to see an investment of close to 50 billion over the digital infrastructure space. People do keep asking us, are we ready for 5G? We've not even got our 4G out there yet. But the thing is, do we do things in serial, or could we do also both serial as well as in parallel? We've done the demonstration beginning of January 2020. We've seen businesses adapting to the potential of 5G. We have businesses who saw the value and they want the 5G a lot more earlier rather than later. We've also worked to identify the spectrums. So today we've got 3 spectrums solely dedicated for 5G, i.e. The 700 megahertz, the 2.8 and the 3.5. Okay, and the Jendela is moving accordingly. Okay, you see us providing reports on every quarter. The next one is due soon. So inshallah, by this Friday, we should be able to release that. I'm so thankful that the industry has come on board to undertake this, with great gusto, and they have been able to make sure that all the targets that we set quarter on quarter, they've met it. Okay, and for some, they've even surpassed that. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so now you have a network that is robust, and we now have the ability to roll out 5G a lot more earlier. So this will allow a lot more applications such as IoT, AI, machine learning, and recently the government also announced the 4IR policy. Okay, so all these need to come together, and inshallah, this would actually allow the industry to unlock itself to be a lot more competitive. Don't compete just in Malaysia, but they will be able to compete beyond Malaysia. So you don't want to be a big fish in a small pond. You want to be a big fish in a big pond. Okay, and all this would actually serve well for the people, the enterprises, and of course for the government of the day. Just allow me to share a little bit about the 5G, some color over the 5G thing. Okay, we know for a fact that 5G will be required. Okay, if you talk about moving into the digital space in a big way, 5G will help increase the productivity, and it will also allow household income to increase. Okay, by use of many things that run over this new network. Remember the days when we were doing 3G and we were all promised that we could do video conferencing? Well, it didn't happen. And then you had the fiber guys coming in and offering higher speeds and say, hey, fantastic, we now can do streaming. But today, we've all moved on streaming becomes a norm for us. Video conferencing becomes a norm for us. And there are more and more applications being made available for us to do more things online. And to do that, you need bandwidth, you need speed, and you need low latency. Okay? And when you look at the economy, every time you have an investment, okay, in the digital space, it will move the GDP. Okay, and for that, we had initially thought that the cost of the network would be at 15B, but well, I guess the announcement by DNB says it's probably going to cost around 11B, and it's funded by the private sector. That would certainly generate new jobs. Okay, and we will hopefully will provide a means to reduce our dependence on low-skilled foreign labor, because Malaysia cannot compete in the economic space simply on cheap labor. We will lose out to the likes of Vietnam, that's for sure. The carbon footprint will go down, okay, because we're going to do things a lot more online. Okay, a lot more 5G verticals will happen. Okay, in oil and gas, you'll probably see oil rigs that are unmanned. Okay. And in the business world, everybody will be scrambling. Business model will be disrupted. The SMEs who actually avail themselves into the digital space will be able to increase their productivity, probably running on new business models. And people probably will now want to work 3 days a week in the office. Okay. All this allows us to be competitive, and if Malaysia already has a good network and good connectivity, well, we're open for business. Therefore, we hope to see a lot more investment coming into the country. So that settles the bit about the infrastructure. Then we talk about the e-commerce that had happened. I'm quite sure you will have read in newspapers about people not getting the goods on time, not getting the goods in good condition, and sometimes they say, who do I blame? Do I blame the platform that I bought, that I purchased the goods from? Do I blame the courier provider that had sent the things to my house? Or if it reaches my house, suddenly somebody nicks it and say, there's no one at home, so I'll just probably nick the parcel that had been left at the doorstep. Okay. So all these problems allowed us to revisit and relook, because the industry too need to be addressed, because you do not want to have a situation where, as the volume of demand goes up, the profitability goes down. Okay, so an industry that has got a low level of profitability will not be able to reinvest and improve its services. Okay. So we set out an aspiration, okay, to achieve, i.e. to provide first-class quality of service for the Rakyat, improve the last mile delivery, more so in an integrated manner, and create a seamless customer experience. Okay, and all that would come out from the output of the lab, where there will be a lot more policies as well as efforts by the industry to commit themselves to provide better quality of service. 2, there will be a lot more digitalization happening in that space, so that many things could be looked at on real time. And last but not least, on the part of MCMC, we will be looking to strengthen the licensing regulatory framework. There'll be a big shift from what it used to be and what it will be. Mind you, the framework had been there for 22 years. Okay, so 22 years, mature. So you can actually look at another way to regulate the industry. So as we do all those stuff, people probably won't have a feel. Okay, they say, okay, I get my stuff. It looks better today. It arrives on time. I know where to complain to now. Don't really have a feel in terms of the eyes of the public. But what probably people would see a big change in the way they get things delivered is that things no longer need to be delivered to their homes. Okay, people will be working. Okay, as we get out of the pandemic period, people will start working. People will start working late. I mean, like Imri, he doesn't come back until past 11 at night. Okay, so obviously, if somebody sends something to his house, nobody's going to send to his house at 11 o'clock at night. Okay, and this is where we have what we call as the parcel lockers. Okay, people can drop their stuff off, and they can also pick up their stuff over this parcel locker. And this is where the whole country would see more of this PUDO being developed. Either they are developed physically, like boxes that you see on the screen, or they could be linked into the convenience stores that you see also around the country. And that way, we no longer need to wait for the goods to come to our house. We can go and pick up the goods at the most convenient time for us. And these PUDOs would be highly available, so you don't have to worry of having to travel 5 kilometers away from your abode to get your stuff. No, it's probably going to be about a kilometer or two, and I'm sure that's not going to be a very big problem. But for those who need to be sent to their home, it will still be done so. So this would actually complement that and make delivery a lot more seamless for most people.
Doc,
yeah.
Sorry to interfere you. If you could wrap up in a couple of minutes, then we can allow for time for discussion, more question and answers later.
Thank you, Prof. Okay. And the next level is actually to help the micro entrepreneurs, and this is where we do a lot of our work together with the industry, and this is the Perkasa Pendidikan Usahawan Kecil. So there's about 873 internet community out there that will then serve, to more than 2.6 million people around there. Okay, and hopefully this would actually be able to increase their level of income via e-commerce through Pupuk. Okay. And last but not least is actually our state offices, where we play a very active role in trying to fix what we can fix immediately together with the industry. But more importantly is to make sure that the planning is being done for robust future level of services. Okay, so I hope I've not overstayed my welcome in sharing a lot of what we've done. Okay. Thank you again. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you very much. It does cover all the things that we would like to listen or understand from. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions coming back later, so we would like to allow more time for that as well. So I'll go straight to the next speaker, yang bahagia Imri Mokhtar as the Group CEO of TM. He brings with him over 24 years of experience in telecommunications strategy. His last position was COO at Telecom Malaysia since May 2020. And he previously served as TM COO. During his time as a COO, he served as TM's acting group CEO, so he was well trained for that from November 2018 to June 2019. So prior to that, as a COO, he was Executive Vice President of Unify. So you have any complaint, you can ask question after this. He first started career in TM in 1996 after his graduation, I believe, and rejoined TM in 2005 and served in various positions in TM, including VP of Program and Performance Management Office and EVP Consumer. Prior to rejoining TM in 2005, Imri was with a pay TV operator in Malaysia, and before that, a consultant with a global management consulting firm. He graduated from University College London with the Bachelor of Electronic Engineering and Management Studies First Class Honours, and completed business and leadership programs by Cambridge, Judge Business School, and Harvard Business. So with that background, so we listen to him on what perhaps TM as a representative in the industry role in providing the services that has been alluded by Dr. Fadhlullah just now. Please.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Borhan. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First and foremost, thank you to IEEE as well as the chapter for having me in the panel. I'll try to cover this within 15 or 20 minutes, as was mentioned, so that we can have more time later for the discussion. Prof. Yusuf, you could have the slides on. So we heard already just now from the chairman of MCMC, Dr. Fadhlullah, with regards to the framework of the industry towards supporting a much more digital Malaysia. And I hope during this time that I have, would also be able to share a bit more flavor and color on how TM would support that, with the digital connectivity infrastructure, as well as the digital infrastructure to enable the various parts of the country to pursue this digital transformation. If you go to the next slide, please. And just to give a bit of a context and a flavor, TM, Telecom Malaysia is both a private listed company, a PLC, as well as a GLC, a government listed company with the majority of the shareholders being Khazanah, EPF, PNB, and Kumpulan Wang Persaraan, and so forth. And it's about really balancing both of these roles, as a public listed company to the shareholders, as well as to the country in terms of nation building. And it's about pursuing a sustainable excellence. And to us at TM, it's about really three pillars. Next, please, Prof. Yusuf. It's about managing, anchoring the true north on customers. Believing that the byproduct of serving our customers well would be the business, the revenues, the profits, which will allow TM as an organization to continuously invest in the digital connectivity, the digital infrastructure for the country. And of course, it's very much then all executed by more than 20,000 strong of Warga TM, which is the people. Which then pivots me to really, as I mentioned, the true north is the customers. If you can go next, please, Prof. TM today, we are ready, inshallah, to serve a much more digital Malaysia. And when somebody asks me, Imri, what do you mean by digital Malaysia? So if I could double click on digital Malaysia, to us it's about TM enabling a much more digital society. That's the first one. Then it's about enabling a much more digital business for the country. It's not only just, it's also about enabling a much more digital government to serve the rakyat in a much more digital way. And finally, it's about enabling a much more digital industry here in Malaysia. So perhaps here, by sharing this perspective, it gives everyone here following the session a broader perspective of the various customer segments that TM serves. As Prof. Mohamad had mentioned just now, most of you would probably know TM through your internet provider, but it extends beyond that. Beyond the homes and the individuals. It's about enabling our SMEs, our enterprise, our government, and as well as the industry as well. And the foundation of enabling this aspiration of enabling a much more digital economy for our country lies on the two foundation of, one is the connectivity excellence, and secondly, it's beyond the connectivity. What does it enable? The solutions excellence. We've heard from the chairman of MCMC, Dr. Fadhlullah, sharing a lot of the various programs in towards of enabling a lot of our micro SMEs towards serving the end customers, a lot of the B2Cs, if you may, right? And I hope to share another and a complementary flavor in my session here today, sharing on the B2B, on how the enterprises, the business, the SMEs, including the government, is moving, embarking or accelerating very quickly towards this digital transformation. And speaking about the connectivity excellence, about the digital infrastructure, if you could move to the next slide, just to give a flavor, on the right-hand side of the slide, you would see the customers that TM we serve today. It's not just the home customers out of close to 8 to 9 million households, 2.7 today are being served by TM through Unify. Even SMEs, that's close to about 1 million, about 400, close to 400,000 is today being served by TM. And also the enterprise and the public sector, the various federal government, the government agencies, the state governments. It numbers to more than 12,000 large customers that's being served. And as I mentioned, it's also about enabling, TM also enables the industry by providing wholesale infrastructure to not just domestic telcos here in Malaysia, but also international telcos, including hyperscalers, as they set their footprint in the region and as well as in our country. And to enable all the various services, the connectivity and so forth that's been provided to these customers, it really boils down to the network. If we could just zoom into the slide a bit. It's enabled by this converged network to the left of both fixed and wireless. Of course, over the years, TM continuously to invest in the fiber optic cables nationwide. Today, the length that spans the whole country, it's more than 600,000. So, and that's how I would normally share with my mom, right, to give her a bit of sense of perspective. I said, yeah, Mom, the fiber optic cables of TM that we've laid in Malaysia would be enough to circle the earth 15 times. But there's also the copper cables, which is we are then starting to shut down gradually over the years. And so this ties back ties up to what was shared by Dr. Fadhlullah earlier on with regards to Jendela, right? It's about expanding the fiber optic coverage in the country to provide higher speed broadband. But it's not just about in Malaysia, it's also about us connecting Malaysia to the world. TM is part of more than 30 submarine cable systems, which today in terms of the length spans about 300,000, and we've also have 28 points of presence worldwide. So that very much covers the fixed perspective, infra perspective, whether it's in Malaysia as well as connecting Malaysia to the world. Then also there's the LTE sites, the unified mobile that we provide today, and also to supplement that, there's also more than 13,000 Wi-Fi hotspots. So all that I've shared thus far is very much the digital connectivity infrastructure. The digital infrastructure beyond that, would pivot very much on data center, on data center and cloud. Today at TM we have 8 data centers in the country. The 2 flagship ones is situated in Cyberjaya, as well as one down south at Iskandar Putri. So it's really the infrastructure, the digital infrastructure that we have now that enables the much more digital lifestyle, the much more digital work style of the customers that I shared earlier on. So if you could move to the next slide, Prof. Yusuf. Not many knows about this. As I mentioned, many when they think of TM is about the broadband that's at your home, but also TM manages several of our country's critical infrastructure. As I mentioned, the submarine cable and the landing station, but also for our security forces, the network of our Royal Malaysian Police, PDRM, tak masuk kat sini, but also with regards to our army as well, whether it's the ATM, Angkatan Tentera Malaysia, TUDM, and so forth, as well as another subsector that's regulated by MCMC, the broadcast service infrastructure, whether it's TV or radio as well. Quite a fair bit of the broadcast infrastructure is provided by TM for the various licensees to provide the services to the public. There's also the public safety systems, whether it's aviation, whether it's maritime, whether it's even the 999. This is something that is that was developed as well as operated by TM for the government to serve the rakyat, in terms of our emergency public services 999. And there's also a subset of the Warga TM, especially the technical team. They have been trained by our military. They are part of the Askar Wataniah. There's close to 400 of them. So in the event, na'uzubillah, of any emergency that happens in our country, this will be the true frontliners that will be going out to support the communication needs during an emergency and so forth. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Yeah. And we've heard at great length what was shared earlier on by Dr. Fadhlullah with regards to the blueprint that was announced by our government, the blueprint to support the national digital economy over the next few years. It anchors on the connectivity, Jendela, as was mentioned, TM. We are committed in terms of providing the better and greater, wider coverage with regards to fiber around the country, building on the foundation that we have thus far. And also from the fiber is not just to provide unified services to homes or even to businesses. It also enables the mobile operators to fiberize the mobile towers to provide a better quality. And also this would dovetail, inshallah, towards the end of the year, towards the 5G rollout. And as we know, we heard just now from the chairman of MCMC, we have set the various rollout milestones for 5G, and we are confident, right? TM would be able to play its part to rapidly bring this next generation service for the country by assisting in terms of the fiber backhaul needs of the 5G rollout for the country. And as I had mentioned, it's also about not just here in Malaysia, but the international connectivity, connecting Malaysia to the world and connecting the world to Malaysia through currently the 30 submarine cables system that spans more than 300,000. In terms of moving forward, what do we expect? In fact, this trend that we are seeing not just in this region, in ASEAN, in Asia, or in Europe, or in the US, a lot of the new cables that is being laid out at the subsea today that has shifted a lot away from telcos. The hyperscalers are really stepping up their investments, and so at TM as well, we are closely collaborating with the hyperscalers as they bring some new submarine cables within the region and specifically in Malaysia as well. Next. And I think this very much brings, I think, to the essence of what digital transformation is for the country. We've heard quite a fair bit earlier from our MCMC chairman talking more about enabling the micro SMEs and so forth, bringing services in a much more digital way to the market, expanding their reach and so forth. But here I would just like to complement a bit on the other part, right? What it means about digitizing the enterprises, digitizing the public sector in terms of the services. And if you look at the blue box at the slide here, the most fundamental enabler of this is, of course, the connectivity, regardless whether it's fixed on fiber, whether it's wireless, it's 4G today, and very soon enough, it's going to be 5G. It's the stack on top of it, of what we build, of what the country invests at. I mentioned from the data centers today, TM is offering a public cloud, private cloud, or even a hybrid cloud. And it's also about the various digital solutions, analytics, AI, IoT, and so forth. And the view that we have at TM, right, there is a proposition to bring to the market to the enterprise customers that we serve today, the large banks, for example, the healthcare group, whether it's the KPJ group, whether it's the IHH group with the Pantai, with the Glen Eagles, whether it's even the Ministry of Health, there would be a need for, say, to move more towards cloud. Under MyDigital, the government, at least for the public sector, have already announced the target to move 80% of the public sector's cloud, public sector's data to cloud by end of 2022. So that is the demand, that is the expectation for TM then, to provide that, to support our public sector. And today we are seeing a lot of our banking customers as well moving to cloud, but pushing things a bit further beyond just what I call the technology stack. What's really critical in terms of enabling, when we talk about digital transformation, is about solving or providing digital services to the various sectors. Let's start with the public sector. If we were to take a few steps back, the essence of public service is to serve the rakyat, right? And it's about shaping the whole customer journey of an individual, of a rakyat Malaysia. Let's take Imri, for example. From the day he was born until the day he dies, right, is the whole journey. And and you would pass through various phases, right, from your education, from your working, and so forth. And it's how does then our country pivot towards a much more digital way of serving the needs of the rakyat in that way. So it's not just about moving to cloud. And perhaps an example that I can give is on oil and gas. The problem statement or the opportunity statement is not, Petronas would like to go to cloud, for example. That is a basic need today. But it's about solving real business challenges for the enterprise customers, whether they are in the private sector or in the public sector. If I could share, for example, with the oil and gas, is one of their push to transform the way how Petronas, would operate. Is to be much more digital, right? So the challenge or the opportunity that's posed was that how does Petronas, for example, or even other large companies, oil companies, yang ada their oil rig operations in around our waters in Malaysia, would want to move differently. Let's take the oil rig. There's an aspiration to optimize the resources there at the oil rig platforms, for example. It's about having IoTs there to collect a lot of the data at the oil rigs. It's about bringing those mass of data back on shore via the submarine subsea cable. All that will be hosted then at the data center at the cloud, where there's analytics that comes in that provides insights or decisions, in terms of optimizing the operation of the oil rig. So that's only one example that I'm sharing when we talk about transforming digitally the industry. And as the country moves towards, inshallah, the launch of 5G through the Digital National Berhad, the 5G SPV of the government, it's the real value, the unlocking of the value of 5G. It needs to go beyond just the mobile service that we have today. It's about enabling potentially what other services that the industry could leverage, with the connectivity of 5G, of fiber, of the cloud, and so forth. So when we talk about digital transformation, it's not just about technology. It must create and solve an opportunity or a business challenge that today is being faced, regardless whether it's the enterprises, whether it's in the public sector, and so forth. So, mindful of the time, I'm coming quite close to the 20 minutes that was allocated, and I think I hope that gives a flavor to all those that's following here, how TM sees its role to support the acceleration of the digital transformation for the country. So just to wrap it up, and it's about Digital Malaysia, how TM sees it. It's about enabling a much more digital society, digital business, the digital government, as well as a digital industry. So with that, I think that brings me to the end of my sharing session of my thoughts, Prof. So over to you.
Thank you. Wow. Give the proper perspective of what TM is, not just about the broadband. So the whole range of it, from your birth to your deathbed. Okay. Right. So last but not least, somebody that I know for some times. Now he started his career in the academia, and then I pinched him into MIMOS when I was in MIMOS. And then when I left MIMOS, he stayed there for like another 10, 11 years. And then back into the academia. So he has that mix of good experience in teaching and learning and research and even industry. So he is Professor Engineer Dr. Hafizal Mohamad. Right now he is in USIM, Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia. He got his BEng first class in electronics, I think in 1998, and a PhD in the same university in 2003 from Southampton. So he received several awards, and I think that the top of it, I would say, ASEAN Outstanding Scientist and Technologist Award 2017. All right, so that's ASEAN. And Top Research Scientist Malaysia by Academy of Science. Then when he started his career in MMU, and then in MIMOS, he was a senior staff researcher at Corporate Technology Division. He's co-inventor of 36 patent and 9 granted patent. And I'm sure some of them are co-authored with me. I'm not sure how many. Prior to MIMOS, he was faculty member of Multimedia University, served as a visiting fellow at NICT Japan 2005, and currently he is at USIM Faculty of Engineering and Built Environment. He's a registered professional engineer with the Board of Engineers and a senior member of IEEE, and has served in various leadership in IEEE, including ComSoc chapter chair, a couple of years after mine. And he also was a vice chair of IEEE, but he never continued till the chair, which normally people do. So with that note, I welcome Dr. Hafizal to present his perspective. Please.
All right. Thank you very much, Prof. Borhan, for the kind introduction. Dr. Fadhlullah, Chairman of MCMC, has given a good overview of the initiative respect to the digital transformation, and then followed by Imri provide perspective from industry. Actually, I was lucky to meet Dr. Fadhlullah in one of the occasions with Dr. Zahar, I think a few months back in Johor, but I haven't met Imri yet. Hopefully we have time to meet after the MCO maybe. All right, so USIM is a university, is a public university located in Negeri Sembilan. Most people may know USIM from social science studies, but in fact we do have engineering program. Although our engineering program is quite relatively young, we also in fact have a medical school in USIM. Last week actually, we opened PPV, Pusat Vaksinasi Mega, one of the biggest in Negeri Sembilan. So this is anchored by our medical school. All right. So I'm going to give a different perspective, hopefully to complement what the chairman of MCMC and the CEO of TM has given. So I have my slide on, hopefully all right, so, okay. So I'm going to give a different perspective coming from academic. So COVID-19 and also pandemic has impacted education sector as much as it has impacted other sectors. So we used to have a lecture room like this. This is a typical sitting in the university. So this is photo from one of the faculty in USIM. So normally lecture standing in front of the class, and then the students standing, sitting in the chair like this. I also joke, I always joke with the student that the front row is reserved for the invisible people. Maybe, so not many people sometimes like to sit in the front row. So this is a typical setting in university lecture room prior to COVID-19. So, but now what we have in the lecture room is an empty lecture room. So most of us are at home. Students from primary school, university student, and even professionals, we work from home. So these are the challenging times for, especially for the young kids that have to normalize with the new norms, to learn on their own, take the initiative, and then be on time to go to the lecture. So for university students, perhaps they are a bit more organized because they know what are expected from them. But in short, it is a very challenging time for everyone, especially in the education sectors. So we have to adapt with the new type of teaching and learning methodologies so that the education can continue. So the impact of COVID-19 has given, that started last year, has given a lot of sectors, especially, for example, tourism, travel, airlines, badly hit. These are the main industry that impacted because of the travel restrictions as well as other restrictions. In education sectors also, we have seen the closure of school and university, and then depending on the progress of the pandemic, sometimes it is open and then it is closed again. So these are the new things that happen to us in education. So we have no choice, but we have to embrace a new type of learning and teaching methodology. So we have to make use of both what we call synchronous learning and also asynchronous learning. So synchronous learning is the time when the student and the lecturer have the time to interact in real time. Of course, this has certain limitation in the sense that not all the students may have the connectivity all the time. So it is complemented with what we call asynchronous learning, whereby the material can be uploaded to the online platform, and then the students can do the revision on their own. So it's a mixed combination of these synchronous and asynchronous learnings actually accelerate the adoption of digital transformation for the education sector. So to give a perspective of what Imri and also Dr. Fadhlullah has mentioned earlier, so technology is the key thing to enable this online continuous education for our children and our young generation in Malaysia. So the rise of the new apps and also platform, this is sparked by the needs of people to be connected all the time, despite the physical distancing that they need to do. So the learning platforms, content management, such as Moodle, and massive online open online learning course has been around for many years, but the adoption is a bit low. But due to this pandemic, we are fortunate that most of the university in Malaysia, they have already established the digital learning platform so that the adoption can be accelerated. So it's not like building the platforms from scratch, because the platform is already there, but the adoption rate become faster, and we depend a lot more on these platforms. Key to the connecting the students, the learners and the lecturers, as well as workers in digital world. So Imri has outlined a very good overview about what services are provided by TM in terms of network and connectivity. So most of us as consumer, maybe sometimes we only see the endpoint where our device connect to the internet. But behind that, there's a lot more things to be done in the core network to make sure that the network is reliable, and also the connectivity is there. So these are to put things in segments. So the rise of the platform, the availability of the network and connectivity, as well as the devices, enable continuous education for our children. So these are important. So imagine if pandemic struck us and then we don't have all these things. So will be in the very bad position. So what we can see for the past 18 months, so the reliance on the internet is very high. So we have to connect in order to continue our life in terms of communication. For the student, they have to be connected to study. For us as a professional, we need to get to our meetings and get things done, even though we are at home, for example. So the reliance of internet is very high. So we let's imagine, for example, if internet is not here, so I think so we have a lot more worse situation. So to look back a bit of history lesson to give a perspective. So internet was not born yesterday. So it was born about 50 years ago, based on some of the early works in ARPANET, and also a few other works in UCLA and also Stanford University. So they have created what is known as TCP/IP protocol that is based on packet switching. So in early days of internet, so only about 100 hosts. And then to give a perspective, Google only born in 1998. So there's a lot of other history of internet that maybe people are not aware of. So these are the foundation of what internet that we have known today. So some of the names that we know that contribute to the development of the what we call the commercial internet nowadays is the concept of packet transfer, the theory of packet transfer. These are very important fundamentals study that was established around 1960s, and Vincerf, some of you might know him. So he worked in Stanford University, later go to DARPA, and then he worked with Rob Kahn to establish this TCP/IP protocol and test it. So they have established this in 1970s, and then they do the first so-called new technology demonstration in the International Computer and Communication Conference, and an early version of email was also established around 1972. So these are the foundation of these what we call internet. So from there, from 2000 onwards, so the growth of internet connectivity supported by IoT grow exponentially. And we can say that internet is one of humanity's greatest achievement. So with internet, we have what we call internet economy that enable a lot of applications, service infrastructure, ISP provide the service and also access to all human being to a lot of massive data. So like what the Fadhlullah mentioned, data is the new oil. So this is evident from what we have seen. If you look at the world largest companies by market capitalization, if you compare 2006 and 2016, so in 2006, a lot of company here is the blue color, the light blue color with the energy company. And then 10 years on, you see a lot of big company like Apple, Alphabet, there's Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Facebook. These are all in IT and telecommunication sector. So data is truly the new oil. And then we have seen also the trade war also between the two big countries, China and also US. And then we have seen a lot of big companies actually exist because of this internet economy. So let me switch a gear to another aspect. Besides internet, we also grateful that we have Wi-Fi everywhere. So Wi-Fi is one of the most successful wireless standard, as you might notice from the growth of the chipset that being sold, from the devices that being shipped. So some people joke that based on the Maslow hierarchy of needs towards self-actualization, physical needs, water and food drink. So Wi-Fi is also one of the important needs for human beings. So this is a joke. So if you look at the journey of Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi has grown from what was known as 802.11 A and B standard release in 1999, and then it grown to 802.11G towards 802.11N, and then 802.11AC, and as well as 802.11AX nowadays. So if you see that the pursuit of the advancement of the technology in terms of Wi-Fi is actually to give more data rate to the user, because wireless medium is a shared medium. So you have to provide more data rate in order to allow more people to connect. Commercially, Wi-Fi is known as Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is a commercial name for the standard IEEE 802.11 standard. So in commercial arena, we call Wi-Fi 4, Wi-Fi 5, and also now commercially people call Wi-Fi 6. That is depends on 802.11ax. So if you look at the chart here, the growth of the number of antenna, which is a MIMO research that contribute to this to the advancement of this all the development in respect to Wi-Fi. So therefore, we can achieve the data rate that is very high in terms of gigabit wireless connectivity. So more specifically, if we want to look at the standard, so it started as 802.11 standard, and then it start with alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G until Z, and then they're running out of the alphabet. They do A, C, A, B, A, C, A, D, and then now AX. So looking at some of the technical details, so we have seen that the use of OFDM and also higher modulation scheme is key to deliver high data rate. So MIMO also is key from 802.11n until now. So MIMO is the key technology that being shown. So before all this Wi-Fi commercial success, the fundamental works in terms of research was pioneered by a couple of people that is being shown here. I'm not going to read them all, but it is suffice to say that this breakthrough in terms of research that actually enable us to enjoy a very high data rate through our Wi-Fi access point. So the success of Wi-Fi, of course, it attributed to a number of reasons. It's a solid standardization effort from IEEE. that provide economy of scale. So before Wi-Fi, a lot of companies try to make their own proprietary wireless local area network, such as Hyperline in Europe, but it doesn't work because it doesn't have the economy of scale. So this is fundamental to the success of Wi-Fi. After the standard has been developed, so Wi-Fi Alliance actually is an industry consortium that makes sure that all the devices are interoperable and they are compatible. So you don't need to worry what access point to connect to, as long as there is a Wi-Fi certified, so you can connect. So if you go to a restaurant, for example, you don't ask the restaurant owner what's the brand of the Wi-Fi access point that you have. Instead, you only ask what's the password, for example. So the use of unlicensed frequency also promotes innovation. So a lot of devices can be made available. So 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz is a good band to connect the data. So all this also is supported by the all the R&D that being done in terms of OFDM, MIMO, quadrature amplitude modulation. So I know Prof Yusof, for example, he did his research related to OFDM. So these are the important things, ingredient to the success of Wi-Fi. So my last bit is about 5G that being explained by the two panelists earlier, but I'm going to give a bit of different perspective in terms of the providing the enhanced mobile broadband. Although 5G can also provide ultra reliable, low latency communication and also support massive machine type communication, but enhanced mobile broadband is one of the important things in 5G. So the journey from first generation to fifth generation takes about 10 years. So from 80s, 90s, 20s, 2010 and also 2020 is the year that some operator, including TM, will roll out these 5G services. So I remember the NTT.
Prof. Hafizal, could you wrap up in, I don't know, a couple of minutes?
Okay.
At 5G speed.
All right. Okay. So I remember the NTT Docomo CTO mentioned that the even generation cellular is the one that make a lot of money. So the odd generation is actually more of the technology demonstration. So behind all this 5G commercial deployment, so a lot of efforts has been put in terms of research many years back. Just to give a glimpse of 6G, so a lot of research effort now is taking place in order to define what is the KPI, what is the visions, what is the traffic types, what are the technology components that is important for 6G. Just last week, CTO of Huawei presented this slide at ICC Montreal 2 weeks ago, ICC Montreal. So to outline what is the Huawei vision for 6G. I will not have time to elaborate on this, but the future of all this technology need to develop at different component level before it become a commercial success. So this is actually my last slide to summarize the future for wireless connectivity. Right, thank you, Prof.
Oh, that's representative from the academia. So he has highlighted the impact of the technology and how prepared we were, if not because of the vision and the R&D that has been conducted all the while in the labs, in the universities, we would have been handicapped, I would say the least. You can't imagine that we don't have internet and have to lock down. All right, so there will be more white flags, and so that is the point that he has highlighted. So, okay, we have like 25 minutes to the end. Now, I believe the team at the back there are collecting all the questions. post here, and my job is just to read about, but I'm not sure if there are any questions at the back. The backroom team, because we have Facebook. All right, there is one here from Muhammad Haris Mokhtar. Has MCMC reached out to SME entrepreneurs, especially at rural areas, and what is their plan or their pain point to onboard digital transformation of their business? So this will be for Dr. Fadhl, please.
First and foremost, I think we need to look at this this space. That there are actually three categories you got to worry about: the micro, the small, and the medium. Usually, the small and medium, they are pretty much more established as opposed to the micro entrepreneurs. So what we do at MCMC is actually to reach out to the micro entrepreneurs. Okay, and this we do via our Putra Internet community, together with many partners, and hence the program that I mentioned, Pupo. And how do we do that is that we bring them on board by getting them to come for simple training, get them to get their goods onto a digital platform and teach them how to then market. In fact, last week we onboarded 545 micro entrepreneurs at 40 Putra Internet community, putting them onto the Shopee platform. Okay, so in general, people would actually achieve about 10% uplift on the income. We hope by doing the hand-holding approach together in partnership with Shopee, we should be able to, over the next 6 months, increase the income by a 30% uplift. Okay, so that would be one of the many approaches that we do for the micro entrepreneurs. Okay, I can go on and on, but suffice to say, our target audience is actually the micro entrepreneurs rather than the small and medium entrepreneurs. By and large, many of the micro entrepreneurs are not registered. So their pain point, there will be three. Number one, they don't have funding. So that's the first pain point. For government grants to be provided for, they need to be registered under the Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia, SSM. Okay. Many of them don't want to be registered, so that's a kind of a chicken and egg situation for them. Second is of course the capacity to produce more. So sometimes they may have higher demand, but they're not able to serve that demand simply because they tend to be a one-man show or two-man show. Okay, and third would be the ability to obtain certificates. Okay, so many of them are actually are doing the operations from their homes. So to get certificates like halal certificate or even the what they call Malaysian good certificate can be a bit of a challenge for them. So those would be the three big pain points for the micro entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. There's a lengthy second question. So I think I address this one first because it can be responded by any of the other speakers. This is from Ridwan Mat. Dear speakers, it's a good sharing for 5G and digital transformation agenda. I believe this digital embeddedness new ecosystem will change the curriculum and teaching content to all future learners to bridge the industry demand. What is your influential advice for educators and higher education institutions to prepare this from now for this year so that the expected number of digital labor force can be produced? So I believe probably Dr. Hafizal or Prof. Hafizal can take this question first, and then we open to the rest as well, being from the academia.
Okay, so I think there are several parts of the question. So one is on the digital preparedness of the. I don't worry too much about the kids and also the digital natives. So they are very familiar, and also they have the devices and they are exposed to a lot more digital contents. So so in terms of curriculum and also teaching content, I think still a lot can be done with respect to the teaching content. Of course, it depends on discipline. For us in Faculty of Engineering in the university, we are often governed by EAC, Engineering Accreditation Council. So the core engineering disciplines that need to be mastered by the student need to be covered. In universities, I think a lot of us do the curriculum revision very frequently, so that the student will be equipped with the latest technologies. For example, I'm teaching subject related to wireless communication, so we have to also include what are the 5Gs, what are the coming technologies for them to ready to enter the workforce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more? Okay. I can open.
I can
open to the others as well. Yes, please.
Yeah, Prof. Borhan. Here I would like to share perspective of as from TM. Yeah, this is an opportunity, but also a challenge that we are facing today. Yeah, it's the digital talent gap that we have in the country. I mean, here we are from the group of IEEE. Yeah. Well, I myself from electronic engineering and so forth. Yeah? So, and it's sufficient talent pool. Yeah, when we look at the connectivity. Yeah, we talk about fiber, we talk about 5G, 6G, and so forth. But as I truly believe, the real value of unlocking this goes beyond just the technology. It's to the various use cases. As I mentioned just now, it's about unlocking the benefits for the various industry verticals, whether it's healthcare, whether it's going to be education, whether it's going to be public sector, oil and gas, manufacturing, and so forth. So what I would like to see our country pivot more towards is more of that applied knowledge that could be implementable, that would really make that impact in the digital transformation of the various industry sector. I think that's a wish list. That's a thought that I have to share with the rest here.
Okay. I'm not sure Dr. Fadhlullah wants to say anything.
Okay, thanks. Well, for someone who's been in government, private sector, and academia, I can tell you that number one, I think we need to also realize this: the industry must understand that the academia must provide a good foundation for the new digital talents. Which what I mean by that is that we probably need to make sure that the basics are right, and because technology moves very, very fast. Therefore, by the time they graduate 3 years after they get into a program, the industry must be ready to then reinvest onto these new talents. Now, that is something that corporate Malaysia is very poor at. They expect things to be available immediately upon graduation, and then they say, "Oh, these guys are not good enough." But seriously, okay, I'm quite sure none of us were good enough when we graduated out. But we were shaped by the organizations that we were in. So I think this is another area that we really need to do. And as Imri pointed out, a lot of things that you learn are going to be on an applied basis. Therefore, for you to be able to apply yourself, the foundation must be right. So therefore, the curriculum to me needs to be revisited, but strictly to look at what are the basic foundation of the new era would require. Say, for instance, data analytics. That could be one new item that we may not have been thought of in our years ago, but probably for the future, that will be a basic foundation skill that they need to have by the time they graduate out. And then companies will then use that on an applied basis. So there's so many things I can go on, but that's pretty much what I would like to just share with everyone. Thank you.
Great. Okay. This particular question, I think, addressed to Dr. Fadhlullah as well.
Sure.
What are the biggest challenges in the regulatory when Malaysia defined telecommunications now become the third utility after water in electricity?
Okay, Lan. This is asked by a good friend of mine, Dr. Mazlan. Okay. In terms of the challenge, okay, number one is cost of doing business. Okay, as much as you talk about third utility, states have always seen that the industry is right for pickings. So Imri will understand this very, very well. Okay, and therefore the cost of doing business in states differ a lot. Some can cost you a bomb, some cost you not so big a bomb, but still a bomb. Okay, so hence this is something that we have to deal with the states for them to better understand that financial obstacles should not be created for them to then help realize the telecommunications as a utility. The second regulatory challenge is actually people. Okay, Mazlan, you've been in the cellular space. Everybody gets all worked up over your EMF. Okay, and therefore they say, I want services in my house, but I don't want a tower at the back of my house. Okay, so go figure out how do you then solve that problem. Okay, Imri doesn't have that. They say, well, how come my fiber doesn't reach my house? Okay, so because he doesn't emit EMF. Okay, but for the rest of the mobile players, that's a huge challenge. And last but not least is actually the investment on devices by people. Okay, so this is where the poor out there may not consider that devices are a good investment. Okay, and unfortunately, this happens to be largely in the B40 group. So you see them struggling all the time, especially with PDPR now. So that's the third challenge that we have. The list is pretty long actually, Maslan, and it's a struggle. But having said that, the fact that the government has adopted it as a third utility, now that's a huge inflection point, because then the conversation is different. Okay, states are more amenable to new guidelines like the GPPI or Garis Panduan Perancangan Internet, as well as the adoption of telecommunications as a utility in the process of issuance of CCC. So therefore, new buildings, inshallah, you don't have to worry about not having communications. I always like to tell the story, which Imri and I always cringe. Remember Imri Puncak Alam? Okay, everybody says UTM is just around the corner, but I don't have connectivity to my home. Okay, because for many years they didn't have telecommunications as an infrastructure there. They had water, electricity. Okay, so we want to change that. Thank you.
Thank you. I read the other questions. Some of them are quite related. Maybe I can lump them together.
Sure.
This one by Shamsuri Rashid. Where factory is located at remote area site like cement plant in Bahau, are there concrete plans to expand this technology to these sites to facilitate IR 4.0 and further? And then there's another question. 5G will be rolling out by end of the year. How many percentage infra has been built by DNB? I think this new SPV. As of now, which areas are covered as of now, and how mobile network operators react with the wholesale capacity concept? And there was another question by another friend of Han. The coverage for the students, to follow PDPR, how much coverage we already providing them. We don't want them to have to climb trees again. So how well are we doing right now? I don't know. Maybe Imri can handle this.
Imri can do the Bahau one.
Yeah, certainly. I think with regards to coverage, as I think was shared early on by Dr. Fazul, it's the coverage, whether it's going to be from fiber or whether it's going to be from wireless, is part of the collective industry's commitment under the Jendela program. Yeah, and under Jendela, when it comes to the industrial areas, that would be a priority, and we are also mindful in terms of balancing the economics feasibility of the rollout, as we can appreciate the cost to roll out the infra is it can be quite a fair bit. Yeah. So for Jendela, in terms of premises, we're looking at as an industry up to 9 million premises, but that's on hand. But we're committed to fiberize about up to 7.5. Yeah, the balance is what was mentioned by the chairman of MCMC. We're looking at alternatives. Yeah, a wireless would be another possibility. So it is something that I think the industry as a whole is committed to in terms of providing that the utility, as you say, is the third utility now after electricity and water. Nobody can do without it. So probably the details can be shared with me later lah.
Right. Okay. Now the next question, I think by Dr. Fazul.
Yeah.
On,
I think yeah. Okay. To begin with, the rollout is still at planning stage. Okay, so obviously you don't expect to see which areas are already covered, but certainly as far as the public announcement by DNB, I don't speak on behalf of DNB. Okay, but what they committed to us as a licensee is that they will roll out by the end of this year in three areas, namely Cyberjaya, KLCC, I think second in KL, and Putrajaya. Okay, so that would be the first base, and thereafter they will hit 17 cities across the country. Okay, so that would be the game plan. Okay, now how would it be done? It will be done on a shared basis, which means you have an NSA approach to begin with. That would help reduce the cost and improve the speed of rollout. Third, how would mobile operators react to wholesale capacity concept? Everybody would be unhappy about it when at the start, simply because the industry have long been shaped by way of building their own networks. Okay, but you and I as consumers, you realize that a country of this size having many networks means we will have to share the finite resource. And then suddenly when we want a higher speed, we want better quality and better coverage, we realize that there are pockets of services that some providers can't offer. Therefore, we need to do new things, we need to do things differently. And I just like to say this, as like Einstein quoted, to get a new outcome by doing the same old way, that is good as being mad. Okay, so hence we cannot do the things the same old way. We need to do things differently. Will it be right? I think at the end of the day, it's about execution. Okay, and we can plan as much as we want, but execution is going to be key. And execution cannot be on a single plan. It will always be on a recursive plan. Okay, so that is as much as I can share at this point in time from a regulator's perspective. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So there's one, I think, probably last question, if there isn't any more. This is by Suhaimi Hassan, our friend from the north. It's a comment actually, but I think maybe you can respond as well. While we are about to roll out our 5G services nationwide, many researchers around the globe has embarked their journey on 6G, okay, addressing limitation of 5G, which has not even been implemented yet. All right. I'm hoping we can do so in Malaysia with the support from MCMC, I wish to, TM and ComSoc. If not yet started, perhaps we can do a bird of a feather. Bird of a feather are people who have the same interest group from a kind of discussion in Malaysia in the near future and rope him in. Sure, but yeah, this is a comment, but I think this is the way that academia can work together with the industry on promoting future technologies. There was another comment that I also read somewhere, when maybe it was not picked up. There was somebody who suggested, I think this is Fadhlullah from UTM or UTHM. Why not use the product of our local R&D product? Your TM has a TM R&D. It has been very active in doing lots of research, and there are products coming from there. Are we not tapping from them? If not, why? So I guess there are multiple questions there. Maybe any one of you can answer. Maybe either Hafizal or Imri can, because Hafizal has some experience with demos.
Yeah. So maybe I take the easy question that being posted on the screen, and then let Imri answer the difficult one. So there's a question by, I think, Alain Nur Azlin. So about the topic on digital transformation in engineering courses. I believe a topic within a subject, it is possible, yeah, because digital transformation is very important topic. Even many people in the university now, they are thinking like, because the concept of digital twin is used in factory, for example. So in university also we could have concept of digital twin where you have the physical laboratory where our student used to do the building the circuits, put things together, and then deals with all the hardware, electronic circuits. So we could also have the concept of digital twins for our students for their laboratory work. Coming back to the question about digital transformation topic, this could also be embedded in some of the courses, for example, capstone projects, so that students are aware about the new things that being introduced in the industry. So, for example, our faculty, we currently revising the curriculum structure as mentioned by Dr. Fadhlullah. So we also introduce AI, data science in for electronic students, so that they know both world, the hardware and also the software. All right, so that's my take for the question by Nur Azlin. So,
all right. So what about the previous question by Shazili? Maybe Imri wants to take that.
Prof, this one is the one with regards to leveraging our local Malaysian innovation, right? Okay, yeah. So I think I'll share my perspective. Yeah, when we are looking at enabling the digital transformation, as I said, to the various verticals, yeah, whether it's at the public sector, manufacturing, healthcare, and so forth, it requires an ecosystem of players, of parties in each of those industry verticals, and each vertical is going to be very different. And for TM, in terms of to enable those digital transformation, there will be a collection of both the external partners, technology partners, as well as the internal. And within TM Group, we have TM R&D, that's also MMU. And moving forward, it's really about then aligning the focus of the various entities so that it could, whether it's going to be R&D, whether it's going to be even MMU for that fact. Yeah? In fact, we are reviewing the whole internal innovation ecosystem within TM. Yeah? Whether it starts from the solution team that really serves the end market, how that connects to R&D, how that connects to even MMU. Yeah? So what I'm trying to say is that at the speed on how innovation is happening, yeah, the demand of this digital transformation by our enterprise customers, by the public sector customers, yeah, the execution, the speed of execution is really intense, yeah? And it's all about working together collectively in the ecosystem, and certainly we would be requiring all the resources, that is from the R&D or even from the academia, not just within TM Group, but also outside of the TM Group.
Okay, so that's a perspective from the industry. Because of the competition, the speed they need to go on and roll out. That's a challenge also back to the academia and the research. Are we up to that to be able to compete at the global stage? All right, that's another forum. Okay. Now I'm not sure if there's any new questions. If not, then I would like to wrap up. I'd like to thank you all, or maybe last word from each one of you. Just a minute or two before I pass to the MC. Starting with Dr. Fazl.
Thanks, Prof. Thanks for having me here. My last word is simple, very simple. Okay, just take on the challenge. Okay, nothing's ever difficult in digital world. Innovation is the key. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, Imri.
Yeah, indeed, these are very exciting times for our country. Yeah? Looking at the market expectation from the customers that TM serve, whether it's at the B2B or the B2C, the time is now for our country, and it's all hands on deck, whether it's the regulators, whether it's the industry players, whether it's the academia or the researchers. So inshallah, together we can do this. Yeah, for
Inshallah.
Malaysia.
Inshallah. All right, that's very encouraging. And last but not least, Prof. Hafizal.
I think change, as people say, change is the new constant. So for people in education or in academics, we have to embrace the change in terms of the new landscape of and also the needs for digitizing education for benefit of the nation. Thank you.
Right, great. So there you are. I would say this is very historical, or rather watershed, and the first, I think, such panel that we bring together the government, regulatory, the industry, and the academia to discuss something very pertinent to us. So with that, I would like to, I don't know, invite all the audience to show our appreciation with a good round of applause. But of course, the others are at the background, they won't be able to see. I will represent them. Okay, so I would like to hand it back to MCMC, Prof. Yusuf, for the closing aspect. Please.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Borhan. I think it has been such a wonderful session, and hopefully everybody has gained something from this particular program that we are organizing this morning. As a token of appreciation to the panels and also to the moderator, I would like to call upon the chairman of IEEE ComSoc Malaysia Joint Chapter, Associate Professor IR, Dr. Muhammad Suhaimi bin Juso, to present the virtual token of appreciation. Perhaps after the EMCO, we can provide you with the physical token of appreciation. Please welcome.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, all the panelists for our session today, forum session. So I would like to present the first token of appreciation, the first one to our first panel. Next, Professor. Okay, token of appreciation to Dr. Fadhlullah Suhaimi. And then next token of appreciation will go to Mr. Imri Mokhtar. Thank you for being together with us. And then token of appreciation to Prof. Senior Dr. Hafizal Mohamad from USIM. Thank you, Prof, for being with us today. And then last but not least, token of appreciation to Prof. Dr. Borhanuddin Muhammad Ali from UPM for being the moderator of the session today. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you again. Okay, over to you, Prof. Yusuf.
Okay, thank you, Associate Professor IR Dr. Suhaimi bin Juso. So we have come to the end of our session today. But before we go, we still have one more part. I would like to invite our panelists. So I think we already have all the panels together. So it will be a photo session. So please give your best smile. Yeah, and right. So I will count.
Just a minute.
Just a minute.
Okay. I think maybe need to remove the digital display that overlay. Yeah.
Okay. Then we can see Mr. Imri's picture. Okay. All right. Ready? Okay. Count from 3, 2, 1. Smile. Okay. One more time, just in case. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Smile. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. So time really flies so fast, and we have come to the end of our program today. Thank you once again for the time that has been spent with us, especially Dr. Fadhlullah from MCMC, Mr. Imri Mokhtar from TM, Prof. Hafizal from USIM, and also Prof. Borhan from UPM. I think it has been a very valuable session, and hopefully everybody has gained something from what we have shared. And hopefully we will be able to see all of you again in the future for our future programs. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe and hope everybody will have a good day and a good week ahead. Assalamualaikum and a very good day. Thank you.
Okay.